Hello and welcome to BFS Wargaming. So today we're going to do a little chat and we're going to talk about the Space Marines Codex and the White Scars supplement. I'm not going to the Ultimate supplement because one, I don't have it, and I'm sure you've seen loads of stuff out there. This is just my opinion on the White Scars supplement, because basically I've wanted to start a White Scars army for some time. I've been waiting for, obviously the rules haven't been great until this supplement, and there hasn't been any Primaris bikes, and obviously there still isn't any Primaris bikes, which we'll talk about. But basically I really wanted to start a White Scars supplement, but I also wanted to do a Space Marine army in the channel colours. So I actually found the Destroyers successor chapter, and they are yellow and black, which is pretty cool. So I have started, this isn't finished, but I've started painting up my Space Marine army as the Destroyers. I'm going to play them as White Scars rather than the Destroyers, especially in competitive play, because if you take them as Destroyers, it actually limits you in terms of the relics you can take. At the moment you can't take a Carnot bike as a successor chapter, so I think that should be FAQ'd, because any successor chapter of the White Scars should have a Khan. So hopefully that'll be FAQ'd. But I love the White Scars. I love Jaghatai Khan. He's my favourite Primarch. I really like everything about them, what they stand for, their play style, the, you know, sort of, it's obviously based on the whole Mongols on horseback, whereas obviously they're on bikes. It's really, really good. So that's basically what I wanted to say about my Space Marine army. So it's themed on the Destroyers at the moment. I will, and also the other thing was I didn't want to necessarily paint them just as White Scars, because obviously with the channel I want to try some other chapter tactics out, maybe play them as Iron Hands, things like that. And if they're painted as White Scars, you're always going to have White Scars in your mind. So it's a little bit of a way for me to play a few different chapter tactics on the channel for you guys, so you can see, so you're not just seeing the same Space Marine army every time with the same rules. And hopefully that Space Marine army will grow, so I'll be able to play a lot of different things in different ways. So the new Space Marine Codex, we've talked about on the battle report we done with John and his Crimson Fists. It's a really, really good codex. There's some really cool things. It's made Space Marines all round, old Marines, Primaris Marines, every Marine, it's made a lot better. So what's changed? Obviously you've got doctrines. Doctrines are really good. So you start with Devastator, you can then move to Assault, and then you can then move to move to Tactical, which is your assault weapons and your rapid fire. Then move to Assault Doctrine, which is your pistols and your melee weapons. So you can't get to the Assault before turn 3. So this is where I'm going to talk about my opinion on the White Scars supplement. I think the White Scars are tons better than they were. There's some really cool stratagems. They've got some cool psychic powers, but if you compare them, for instance, their supplement to the Ultramarine supplement, at the moment, the Ultramarines are far more competitive. So if you're thinking about taking a Space Marine army to a tournament, and you've got the choice of what you want to do, you're probably better off going Ultramarines, because they're going to be more competitive. There's a couple of reasons for that, because one, bikes, they're all right, but they're not doing anything huge. They've obviously got good mobility, and with the Bolter discipline, they've definitely got better. 100% they've got better. My problem with the White Scars supplement over the Ultramarine supplement is the Ultramarines' extra rule for the doctrines, if you like, is when they have the tactical doctrine, you can move and shoot like you haven't moved, basically. So, you know, your aggressors can move and shoot twice, your repulsor executioners can move and shoot with the double shots, stuff like that. It just becomes very, very good. And you can do that from turn 2. With the White Scars, and obviously this is the big thing, their one is you get double damage in combat whilst the Assault Doctrine, so the melee doctrine, is in play. So once you change it to you then start getting double damage. Well, the bikes, if you were playing bikes, they're going to be pretty quick and you can advance and charge. So I would say that you'd be either hoping to get in combat either turn 1, if you're lucky, or turn 2 definitely. And I think these doctrines are going to work really, really, really well for every other chapter in this codex, every other founding chapter in the codex. So, you know, your Iron Hands, your Salamanders, all of those, it's going to work really, really well for. I just think the White Scars is going to be at a disadvantage because, especially competitively, I think if you're talking just in general games, I think you'll get to turn 3, there might still be stuff about which you can get in combat. I just feel like a lot of your army, and especially the stuff that you're moving up the board, like your bikes and stuff like that, are going to be depleted by turn 3. So then that becomes a lot less effective. Whereas when you can activate it from turn 2, you've got an extra turn of effectiveness. So for the Ultramarines, their special rule comes in turn 2, because they can change it to the tactical doctrine, and they become a lot more effective. The other thing is depending on what you're playing, so how you play that army. For instance, with White Scars, if you're playing with bikes, well, at the moment, because bikes aren't very good, so if you're playing with Executioners, you know, the new tactical war suits, Dreadnoughts, Redemptors, stuff like that, you're going to probably want to be staying on the Devastator, which gives you +/-1 AP to heavy, an extra -1 to heavy weapons, or go to tactical with loads of bolter shots and stuff like that. So you're still going to get something out of these doctrines as a White Scars player. They are really good for any Marine army. I just feel like I can't help but feel that the White Scars are at a slight disadvantage. I was very surprised when I got the supplement that there wasn't like a 1 CP stratagem to skip tactical and go straight to the assault doctrine. I was very, very surprised. I don't know if they maybe play tested that and it was far too strong. Who knows? Now the other thing I'm going to talk about is Primaris bikes. Obviously there's no Primaris bikes, which at the moment. So they're going to be bringing Primaris, well, if and when they bring Primaris bikes out, I'm assuming that they're going to have the fly keyword. Now, maybe they've brought out this supplement without the Primaris bikes because for whatever reason they're not ready yet. Maybe their sculpt's not ready to do it in mass reduction, whatever else, it's not ready. Or it's just in their plans of releasing stuff, it's just not there yet. But they may have written this codex or supplement ready for them to come out. So my point of view is that this supplement would be much stronger if we had Primaris bikes, if there is going to be Primaris bikes, if they can fly. Because I'd be very surprised if they don't fly when all of the other Primaris tech has fly, can hover. So I'm thinking if you were having hover bikes, there'd probably be 3 wounds because bikes are usually 1 more wound than a normal troop, so an intercessor's 2, so there'd probably be 3 wounds apiece. I'm assuming you'll get to choose which bolt gun you have on him, whether it's the auto bolt guns, the bolt rifle, or the stalk bolt rifle. Because imagine if you put auto bolt guns on them, and with this White Scars chapter tactics, they can move and advance and shoot without penalty. So you'd have 2 bolt guns on there, so you'd have 6 shots from each bike. And in the tactical doctrine, that would be 6 shots at -1. Obviously 1 damage. So that could be seriously effective. If you're moving up the board, firing all of them bolt shots. So my idea is, obviously you can do that with normal bikes with twin bolters. It's just not as many shots, a bit less effective. You're not going to have to fly, stuff like that. So my thing is, you get out of the board. Obviously your heavy stuff with the first doctrine's fired. Your tactical doctrine, obviously, and your assault bolters rip through. You then get into combat, probably that same turn, so you're not getting the double damage. You'll then I'm assuming they'll probably have combat knives as well, so you get an extra attack. So you're probably getting like 3 attacks per bike, 4 attacks on the charge. You'll then be able to drop out, shoot because you've got fly with them assault bolters, and then recharge because you can charge after you've fallen back. Now, if that's the case, if that's how they do Primaris bikes, because in my head that's how I envision Primaris bikes, I think then White Scars will be competitive, because at the moment White Scars are good enough to win games. Take them to your local gaming store, you can win games with them 100%. This new Space Marine Codex, I think you could take any of the things out of here and you could go to and you could win games in your local gaming store. A tournament, a competitive tournament, I think White Scars are going to struggle. I'm actually looking at taking the White Scars to the LGT. I full well know they're going to struggle, but I'm just doing it as a bit of fun. It's sort of a little project for me to get them painted up in time for the London Grand Tournament, which is on the 14th and 15th of September. I'm sort of going to practice the list before then. I've got a tournament coming up on the 1st of September, which I'm going to take them, which is a pure codex tournament. So that'll be quite cool to play them there. So I'll get a bit of practicing before London Grand Tournament. And there's some great stratagems in the White Scars books. There is some really good, like you can fall back and shoot, you can advance and shoot, and you can add, you know, you can do 3d6 for your charge and pick the 2 highest. You can add stuff to your charge. And all the relics and the double warlord trait and all those things, you can get some really, really good characters. It's a really, really good book. The other thing is Librarian on Bike. Now the Librarian on Bike is an index choice. In my opinion, Librarian on Bike for White Scars is a no-brainer. Like, they should be able to take a Librarian on Bike because you need them to keep up with your army. Obviously, Corsair Khan isn't on bike either, but that's a whole nother kettle of fish. We won't talk about that. So you're wanting this super mobile army as White Scars, but you can't take a Librarian on Bike. So stuff like you can't run him up, whether you're playing the Librarius, the Space Marine powers, or the supplement White Scars supplement powers, which are really good, by the way. Some of them are really cool. But like for instance, Null Zone, 6-inch range, perfect on a Librarian on Bike. But he doesn't get the Angels of Death rule because he's an index option, so he hasn't got the Angels of Death rule, which means if you take him, you won't get access to the doctrines because he's technically, you need everyone in your army to have the Angels of Death rule, which is a massive, massive shame. I'm hoping that they're going to FAQ this soon, hopefully before the London Grand Tournament. But I'm not sure they will because it's an index option. I think they probably want to fade those index options out. But who knows? Because I think some other characters like that they use have not got them either. So we'll see what comes up with that when they do the FAQ for the Space Marine Codex and the supplements. But yeah, I'm really excited about the White Scars. I do really like the supplement. I think it's going to be, and this is the other thing, I've bought a few attack bikes just to add a bit of mobility for my army, but I haven't, and John has given me some bikes to add to my army, but I've got like 6 normal bikes and I've got 3 characters on bikes. It's not a massive White Scars army. I've filled it out with like Invicta Tactical War Suits and Repulsors, a couple of Repulsor Executioners, some Eliminators. So, and obviously some Intercessors as well. The other thing I was a little bit like, I wanted to see either be able to take bikes as a troop choice or bikes get objectives secured for White Scars. Because I think that's really nice theme then. If you can get objectives secured on bikes for White Scars, I just think it's not a massive advantage over everyone else because you've got to pay them points on them. So, it's meant to be the way they're played. White Scars are meant to be on bikes. And I just think it really hinders you that you can't get objectives secured. And then, because you're going to have probably less bikes than there's going to be in a troop unit anyway. So there's a good chance that the troop unit or the infantry unit is always going to outnumber you on that objective. It just gives you that little bit over, for instance, other armies that have maybe mobile units, and I just think it would have been really, really nice to have that. But obviously, in every codex, we can sit there and wish we had this and wish we had that, and we think this would be good, and unfortunately, we can't. We've just got to play with what we've got. But I'd be very surprised if Primaris bikes don't come out. I think it's for sure going to be a thing. I'm just not sure. I probably won't be till next year now, I should imagine. But who knows with GW? Who knows? Could be the end of the year. Could be beginning next year. Could be the end of next year. Could be 3 years time. But all I'm saying is that I think if they did and they did fly, White Scars would then become very competitive. At the moment, they're all right. They're playable again. You can play them against your friends, and they'll be good. And like I say, there's some really good warlord traits, relics, stratagems. Really, really good in here. Just a little bit. I just feel like you can't use one rule till turn 3. I mean, I don't know about the other supplements because they're not out yet. Maybe some of them you can use them turn 1. Who knows? But like Ultramarines get to use theirs turn 2, and I think one turn in a game of Warhammer, even that one turn on, that's massive. You know, it's huge, especially in a competitive environment. If you're, you know, the first 2 turns are huge. You know, and if you can't change your doctrine and use your rules to how you need to use them, you know, you could be, especially with Space Marines, they still feel very glass hammer-esque. So, you know, you can deal out a lot of damage now, and I feel like you've got a lot of firepower, but you still die very, very quickly. And I really feel like the whole of the Space Marine Codex, in terms of bikes, infantry, and things like that, not the vehicles, but in fact the vehicles as well, because the vehicles haven't got invulns, which does make them very, very glass hammery. I think if you had ignore the first AP, so reduce AP by 1 for any incoming damage, across the whole Space Marine army, I think that would be very, very, it would make the Space Marines more durable. It would make them how they're meant to be. Don't get me wrong, they're much, much better. I'm happy with what they've done. They changed loads of stuff, and it's very, very cool. I just wish we could have just had just that little bit more, and made them a little bit more durable, because they're lacking a bit of durability, especially with really no invuns on vehicles. 3-up save is obviously good, but not when you've only got a very, you know, because they're elite armies, so you've got very few troops. You either need a 2-up save, or I think, to be honest, the best option for across the whole Space Marine range is, and Chaos Space Marines, is to reduce AP by 1 for anything that hasn't got a 2-up save, basically. But there you go, because maybe on Terminators that might be a bit harsh. But then maybe that is what Terminators need. They need that because, you know, they're dying too easy, from what people say. Probably not so much the Plague Marines and the Scarab Cult Terminators. I think they're in a pretty good spot. But the others, you know, maybe that would help them right out. Anyway, this is just my ideas and my thoughts on the White Scars and Space Marine. I didn't go into the Space Marines codex much. I did proxy some Invicta War suits. They're very, very good. But let me know what you think about the Space Marine Codex, the White Scar supplements. What do you think? Do you think that it's completely fair and they should only be able to use that turn 3? Have you managed to have a go with White Scars? And, you know, let me know what you think about them, or if you've got thoughts on how you feel they would play, how you feel they would do in a tournament, let me know. Love to hear your feedback, what you think. Do you think Primaris bikes are coming? Do you think they're going to be able to fly? So let me know, and we'll have a chat in the comments about it, because I think this is a really, really good topic of discussion. Let me know what you think about my idea about reducing the AP by 1 for anything that's fired in as well. I think it's probably a really good idea for Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines. But let me know what you think, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks, bye.